Today I fucked up. Posted by u/defenestrate_me_now. 8 years ago. Tofu by throwing my steak out a window. Last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chat over drinks and salads and seemed to really be hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes and my wife seemed pleased. Soon she brought out the main course, a nice big juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked this steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have resuscitated the cow had I tried. Instead, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating the steak. Claim veganism? No, I'd already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third-story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head. I knew I had to be decisive, realizing that she could return at any moment. I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big-time foo. The window wasn't open. It was the cleanest freaking window you've ever seen in your life. That is, until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake. My wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet. This look then slowly morphed into more of a "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" expression of demonic anger. My wife's boss heard the thud of the steak on window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the steak sitting on the window sill, the blood trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but was probably 3 or 4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, I'm so sorry. I am such a klutz. I don't know. I was just cutting it. And, it slipped. Just ask my wife. I really am a klutz, right honey? No help coming from that direction. I will clean this up. I can't believe this. I am so sorry, etc. etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from the loony bin, as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak, and continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody, raw steak. I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since the incident are, "I'm fine." TLDR, tried to sneakily throw my undercooked steak through an open window, only to find out it wasn't open. Posted by u/tiny material 8608. 11 hours ago. Tofu by getting too in character during roleplay with my GF. My girlfriend, F19, and I, F19, are quite avid Star Trek fans. She recently asked me if I would be down to roleplay in the bedroom as characters from the original series. That being me as Mr. Spock and her as Captain Kirk. TBH, I am pretty neutral on roleplaying as it doesn't really do anything for me, but it's not like I find it disgusting, I just think it can be awkward, so it's not typically my thing. However, she seemed really into the idea and I like to make her happy, so I thought why not, and agreed to it. The basic plan was for us to dress up and then be in character for a bit. Then she was going to complain about her back, so I would give her a back massage. In my defense, I know this whole thing sounds incredibly cringe, but please bear with me. Anyway, during the back massage I was supposed to get a bit touchy, and then you can guess where I am going with that. We also decided to have a safe word precisely so that we would know when to break character, because she wanted me to take it seriously. Here's where I fucked up. It was going alright and I was giving her a back massage for like 10 minutes at this point, and she was being kinda suggestive, I guess. My problem was that I just didn't know how Spock would actually act in this situation. Like, I know that I was supposed to initiate things, but I also wanted to be true to the character. Eventually she starts whispering for me to go lower and stuff like that, but I still responded in character saying stuff like, that's inappropriate/unbecoming of a Starfleet officer lol. She starts getting a bit mad and accusing me of not really being into it. This is where I think I took it too far because I start talking about how it was just a back massage and I didn't know I was supposed to be into it. Then she starts yelling at me that obviously we weren't still in character and I was being purposely dense, which I suppose I sort of was since I'm not stupid and I just kind of felt like taking the piss a bit. This turns into massive argument where she tells me that she feels like I'm not attracted to her and that I don't try hard enough, and eventually she ends up crying and we barely spoke for the 3 days after that. After that, she came over and we talked a bit about it, but I still wasn't being super serious because the whole situation is a bit ridiculous really. She gets mad again and so I start getting a bit mad and eventually we are really arguing and shouting and bringing up things in the past to hurt each other with, and it turns toxic pretty quickly. Then she just gets fed up and breaks up with me right there and then. I know it may not come through in this post, but I really did love her and it really sucks that this is how it has ended after all this time. I've been super depressed the past couple weeks where I'm not eating or doing schoolwork and I'm obviously not enjoying Star Trek like I used to. The more I think about it, I think I just embarrassed her in such a vulnerable moment and I'm struggling to forgive myself for that, but then I remember that it was fucking Star Trek roleplay and I keep going in circles. Anyway, FML, I should have just taken it more seriously. TLDR, acted too much like Spock during Star Trek roleplay, so my girlfriend broke up with me. Posted by u/Quixotic Fire. 13 hours ago. Tofu, by letting my dentist ruin my smile. I've had terrible teeth all my life due to poor mental health. My front tooth recently got a root canal and thus required a crown. I got a temporary one in after they did the root canal and scan. They told me to come back in 2 weeks for the permanent one, so I did. The first crown they got was the wrong color and hardly fit, so they sent for another in the same color the perfectly blended temporary crown was. Temporary crowns aren't color matched, just come in the average tooth color, which happened to match the other front tooth. They called me a few days ago to let me know my new one was in, so I let my employer know and took today off. I went in today expecting the new crown to fit just right. To the dentist and its surprise, it was a perfect fit. After trimming the back to the right thickness to work with my super deep bite, we cemented it. They handed me a mirror several times to make absolutely sure it was fine, and I agreed. I really just wanted to get out of there because this dentist has fucked other shit up to get me to come back. I didn't want him to keep drilling elsewhere, which he has already begun doing in order for the crown to fit better. Everything felt great until I got home. This crown is fucking huge. I have a cartoonish fake tooth right beside my other naturally stained and weakened teeth. It's definitely not the same color as the temporary crown either. I've been crying about it all afternoon. I already have low self-esteem and I feel I can never smile in front of anyone again. TLDR, I thought the permanent crown on my front tooth was fine until I got home and it's too late to fix.